Professional wrestling is a dangerous business, perhaps even more so today than it was 25 years ago. Even when taking daily bumps on thumbtacks and barbed wire was considered the norm. The evolution of the art form means that wrestlers are trying harder than ever to maintain audience interest by performing risky maneuvers, thereby drastically increasing the risk of injury. Even in WWE, where such spots are more reserved and protected, there's been no injuries of 2025. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Number 10. Kevin Owens and Piper neck injury. A breakthroughs in advanced medical testing and the fact that Edge, Daniel Bryan, and Paige all returned after having been forced into retirement with life-threatening neck injury should inject both Kevin Owens and Piper Niven with optimism. Owens and Niven are both currently sidelined with potential career-ending neck problems. Kevin has been out of action since March's Elimination Chamber, and Piper having not wrestled since August. A few details have been made public regarding the condition of the Scots women, but on the contrary, Kevin Owens has been brutally honest about his ailment, having reportedly been dealing with niggling pain for about 5 months before he pulled out of Tribal Chief Wrestling 41. The prize fighter explained the harrowing ordeal on Cody Rhodes' What Do You Want to Talk About podcast. It's been such a frustrating process. We're letting my spinal cord heal as much as we can on its own before we go in for the surgery, because how extensive the surgery will be depends on how my spinal cord looks when we go in there. We're waiting till mid-July to do the surgery. Hopefully, it's a normal neck fusion. It might not be. We don't know. I felt fine. My neck's been fine. I'm not in pain. I have no symptoms of what you would expect somebody with a spinal cord injury to have. In the last week, for some reason, the symptoms all came in one shot. Every symptom you'd expect me to have. The pain in the neck, the stuff going down the arms, the legs not really responding. It's all been happening. So, it's been pretty effing brutal. I can't wait for the surgery and then to move forward, whatever that looks like, but it's been very frustrating. Kevin Owens has since undergone the surgery he alluded to. However, no timetable has been set for his return to the ring should he ever be permitted to do so. If things all go well, we should expect Kevin Owens back for WrestleMania 43. Number 9. Liv Morgan dislocated shoulder. One of the few on this list that have made a full recovery is Liv Morgan as she returned to WWE programming at Survivor Series War Games, helping Dominic Mysterio become a 2-time Intercontinental Champion after low-blowing John Cena. It was a celebrated comeback for one of the company's most improved workers of the last year, but the injury that sidelined her couldn't have occurred at a worse time. On Raw's June 16th broadcast, Liv, who was wrestling Kyrie Sane, was pulled down to the mat face first, outstretching her arms to soften the blow. Unfortunately for Morgan, this resulted in a dislocated right shoulder practically as soon as the match began, rendering her unable to continue. Most frustratingly for WWE, they scuppered all plans for their second Evolution event just a few weeks later. Their Live and Judgment Day partner Raquel Rodriguez were going to reportedly defend their women's tag team championships against the Bella Twins. That didn't happen obviously, and the entire card was said to be written from scratch as a result of Morgan going down with Nikki Bella joining the Battle Royal lineup, and the women's tag team title being defended by Rodriguez and Judgment Day newbie Roxanne Perez. That they face against Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, the Kabuki Warriors, and Sol Ruka and Zarya. Number 8. Penta and Shima shoulder injury. And designing a tournament in professional wrestling will always run the risk of performers withdrawing due to injury, in turn throwing the entire bracket into disarray. Such was the case with WWC's Last Time Is Now tournament, as both Penta and Sheamus were forced to pull out on account of their shoulders becoming mangled. Sheamus was the first to go, being announced via social media as having picked up an undisclosed shoulder injury that resulted in the quarterfinal position being taken by The Miz that presumably occurred during one of the Celtic Warriors' rigorous workouts. Secondly, and more prominently, however, was Penta, whose shoulder was messed up during his second round match. Wrestling Solo Sikoa. The masked grappler descended onto Sikoa with a hurricane runner off the barricade, though he failed to secure the full rotation needed to complete the move safely and crashed down hard on his left shoulder. The errant faller sidelined Penta ever since, throwing his Lucha Brothers reunion with Brother Ray Phoenix into doubt. Number 7. J.D. McDonough broken rib and punctured lung. But joining WWE in 2017 saw J.D. McDonough develop a penchant for pain with such precarious spots, including him being caught coming off the top of the War Games cage with an RKO. But in January of 2025, the Irishman realized that he had to reel himself in to avoid entering early retirement. Challenging the War Raiders for the World Tag Team Championships alongside Finn Balor, McDonough attempted an Osei moonsault into Evo ringside. Unfortunately, JD and Evo were positioned on the side of the ring where the announcer's table was placed. This resulted in the Irish Ace's head bashing right off the table in the most reveling visual. Though he somehow managed to finish the match, McDonough could be seen collapsing as he headed backstage, leaving many fearing the worst. A bruised rib and a punctured lung was diagnosed for JD, who missed Tribal Chief Wrestling 41 as a result. Number 6. Zoe Stark, torn ACL, MCL, and meniscus. Now really, it's time for Zoe Stark to retire the springboard missile dropkick. As majestic as it may look, it's left her on the injured list for over half a year as an awkward landing when performing the move on Kyrie Sane back and may have resulted in Stark tearing her ACL, MCL, and meniscus. Flying into Zayn, Zoe undershot her impressive coast-to-coast impersonation, coming down with all her weight onto her right leg, which buckled under the pressure. She was removed from the match immediately. In a gut-wrenching update posted to her Instagram, she detailed the toll a strayed dropkick has taken on her, which hits harder once you recall that this isn't her first instance of suffering such an injury. And unfortunately, this isn't the only instance in 2025 of Zoe Stark's missile dropkick going awry. As number 5, Dakota Kai concussion. On the January 27th Raw, Dakota Kai's dreams of headlining WrestleMania were shattered when her head was almost knocked clean off her shoulders after taking Zoe Stark's inhumane missile dropkick. The spot, which occurred while Kai and Stark were tagging with EIO Sky and Shayna Baszler respectively, was well structured. Shayna missed a clothesline as Dakota ducked, who then ran the ropes, leaped over the Queen of Spades, and was instantly beheaded by an incoming Zoe Stark. The dropkick immediately initiated WWE's concussion protocol, which resulted in Dakota Kai being taken off the road, and thus missing the annual Women's Royal Rumble match. Number 4. Chad Gable torn rotator cuff. Unable to catch a break, Chad Gable, who was masquerading on WWE programming at the time as the original El Grande Americano, supposedly was shelled with a torn rotator cuff, were now rumors of Ludwig Kaiser having since donned the Americana mask, doing probably a better job than Gable did with the role. Written off television after taking an arm breaker from Penta, Gable would confirm that damage was done to his rotator cuff. Though the injury didn't dampen his spirits, instead, Chad made good use of his prolonged time away from the ring to spend quality time with his young family. Unfortunate circumstances, but you know what? I'm looking at the silver lining here. I got a little injury to my rotator cuff, but what it did do was buy me some time off the road to be home with my family and do stuff like this. Come to a baseball game on a Sunday, which I never got to do. Now, in a positive update, Chad Gable is now nearing a return to action. Though whether or not he returns as himself or as El Grande Americano is a question currently left unanswered, though no in WWE. It will culminate in a mask versus mask showdown at Tribal Chief Wrestling 42 after they milk the Spider-Man pointing meme as much as possible. Number 3. Rey Mysterio torn groin and ruptured eardrum. Now, let's be fair, there's never a good time for a wrestler to go down with an injury, but the day before